are friends that I've known since I was 13. And they have been a huge support for me throughout the past couple of years. They tell me to take it slowly, and they really have rallied around us.
I think our journey here so far has been quite crazy. It's been 4 years now since Hwee's surgery, 4.5 years since her diagnosis. A few words for Hwee. I think you always know you're my soulmate. I know it's going to be difficult, but at least you know that you are in really good hands, and I really, really pray that we continue doing this for the rest of our lives. For you guys, let's drink more, be merry. We are 4th year in. Let's do the next 5th year really, really well. And you know, let's live and let's make sure that we create memories all the time. Cheers!
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 Good job, So the last time we had a professional photographer was in 2020 in October. That was actually the day of our wedding. This was actually me and my sisters at home. That's the 4 of us, you know, I was getting my hair and makeup done. We didn't do a gate crash. And as you can see, everybody here in church was masked up. 2 of us were actually up on the stage, right, giving speech. But then halfway through, I felt very faint. So I actually whispered to him, Bob, I don't feel well. I am going to pass out. And next thing, I'm collapsed on the floor.
Even the pastor stood up and asked, is there a doctor in the audience?
But there wasn't.
She was already in her 2nd cycle of chemo, and she looked good. She probably needed to faint to tell everybody she was actually having cancer or chemo.
We actually also called my oncologist, who said that it was probably a result of dehydration, stress, fatigue from chemo.
Even till today, when I think back about what happened, I still get a bit of the shudders.
I'm a stage 4 appendiceal cancer patient, and I got diagnosed in September 2020, about a week after turning 30. It's a very, very rare type of cancer, actually. Appendiceal cancer is not something that you hear very frequently, and the cell type that I have also is a pretty rare form.
Our oncologist today said, if Hwee was my sister, I would tell her to go for chemo straight away, because he said the cancer was really extensive.
Stage 4 essentially means the cancer has spread from, you know, the primary organ. So in my case, it's the appendix. It spread to a large bulk of the abdomen, you know, the ovaries as well. The prognosis looked like around 3 to 6 months, even with chemo, which was why, you know, I started chemo very quickly.
And then she had to do this 20-hour surgery where she needed to remove her womb, her gallbladder, spleen, large intestine.
With my stage 4 cancer and the cell type, remission is actually not something that would be really possible. What this means is that I have to be on treatment for as long as I am fighting this cancer. Of course, the type of treatment varies. The approach has always to give me a pretty manageable quality of life still. So that's what I've actually been on for the last 4 over years.
I've been a photographer for coming 18 years. For the first 10, I was a freelance photojournalist working for newspapers and newswires. I would check the news, what's happening, the social media feeds. I also checked the wires to see if my competition had gotten something I didn't. It was really busy. I'll be on standby 24/7. I covered some of the significant events as photojournalist, quite exciting for those days. In 2010, I was one of the photographers on the Youth Olympic team. For the first few days before the opening, the Olympic torch went around Singapore, and I was mostly the guy photographing it. Then after it started, I was on the pool floor for this, level with the swimmers, where you can get dramatic shots like this. I really learned a lot. I think the pictures were quite well received. So this was the 2011 election, my first major election in Singapore. This photo was quite dramatic. I was under the television when the TV announced that Cham Si Tong had lost, and all the supporters in the coffee shop got really angry with the TV. Later on, one of them, the auntie, got etched out and she became a meme for many years. My career was good. I was getting somewhere. My career as a photojournalist hadn't peaked. I was on the way. I was stepping into my 30s, and I think the plan was to try and expand the career, to go overseas. So all these things became impossible the year I turned 30 because I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
So we run a marketing and creative agency called Studio 155. Today we're here because one of our clients has been doing a Christmas activation, and yeah, we're popping by to have a look. There's a spot of Santa Claus reading Christmas, correct, right? What's the mechanic?
In the crackers you have gingerbread.
See? Okay.
Yeah.
So quite a few people actually got it already. Okay, so that's the whole point, right? They want them to engage with it, then they have this one. That's a mechanic. Hello.
Are you gonna take a video with me?
No, I'm just watching you guys first. So you follow him everywhere?
Yeah, so I'm to guarantee that they follow and to explain.
Okay.
So he doesn't get overwhelmed.
I see. Then you just give out lah. Okay. So far quite good. I heard the response quite good. Earlier this morning, I was working at home. So another busy day. That's pretty much a typical day in my life, running around. I'm driving to meet people or just in meetings, one after the other. We're going to quickly dart to my office now to pick up some stuff before the next location. There are actually some days like this when I get in a car and then I feel a bit chuan. And I don't know whether it's just from the running around or it's from the treatment or the cancer itself. And sometimes I just need to stop and catch a few deep breaths. Bye, see you all. Drive safe. So that was that and done. 4% of the battery left.
Previously, we would kind of like have a whole day planned out. So we would go to the office in the morning and then have the meetings. Then after work, we have like a run and then post-run dinner. Or if there is no run, then maybe it's an event or whatnot.
So pre-diagnosis, I used to run about 4 to 5 times a week. I started off with running since I was a schoolboy, and throughout my life, running has just been with me. I've been running on average about 2 marathons a year. I was very, very fit. Over the last few years, as I've been doing more and more of this kind of training, I started noticing very ad hoc that I would get generally brown pee. We went to see the doctors and all that for it, but generally we couldn't really find anything. And we did quite a comprehensive check. And we, over time, kind of associated it with heart races. And it was just the body's way of breaking down the stress that the body was receiving. This year in June, something shifted. I was supporting a friend on a charity run. I was running through Johor, 50 Ks over 2 days, and I expected to see brown pee again. But for the first time, it was shocking to me because the pee was no longer brown. It was actually a bright red. Whoa, this is different. That was the first time that, like alarm bells really rang.
I had just finished the CIMA summit at Shangri-La, and then I was at home. I was toweling off my hair, and my girlfriend noticed a lump in my armpit. And she was like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Nothing, my bone." And she was like, "No, stupid, that's not your bone." So that's how I realized I had an armpit lump. So the armpit lump was somewhere here. When I first saw it, it was about this big. It's a very small lump. I eventually got around to Googling it to figure out what would it be. There can be many reasons for armpit lump. Most of them aren't serious. And I was like, okay, maybe it's just a fat lump. I ignored it for maybe a month or two. When I was working in the newspapers, I made some really good work friends. I'm going to meet one of them now.
Thanks for ordering. Hello.
Got your coffee.
Thanks, man. And the Bijang Kueh.
Yes.
Perfect. Hey, so how you been? Same old, same old.
Yeah.
I got a parking fine.
Again?
Again, yes.
Wow, that's not a good sign, man.
No.
I think the last time you told me you had a parking fine, you got cancer. Yeah, I remember we were sitting near your house, and then you were like, hey, I got something to show you. And then you like lifted your arm, and you showed me this like ping pong ball size.
Yeah.
And then I asked you want to get it checked out, and you were like, nah, it's fine, right?
Yeah.
And then I think a couple months later, it was then like tennis ball size, and at some point you told me it was getting in the way.
It took what? 5 months before I got the diagnosis.
Yeah, wait, so why did it take so long?
At your polyclinic, I was at SGH because armpit lumps are also a breast cancer symptom. So I was sitting there in the waiting room, and there's me and a whole row of women. And the nurse comes up to me and goes, "Excuse me, sir, are you sure you're in the right place?" And I was like, yeah. And it turns out the doctor was a breast cancer specialist. And that's how I have to go do the CT scan. After the CT scan, then they found another big one in the abdomen. So it was 2 lumps and the bone marrow thing. They stick a needle into your top of your hip bone and they pull out your bone marrow. And that's how they find out the stage 4 follicular lymphoma.
And I remember I had to text you and be like, hey, so did you get the results of your biopsy? And then you replied and kind of very casually dropped that you had lymphoma. Wait, let me see if I can find the text.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, did you get your results? It's lymphoma. And then I said, man, well, most forms of lymphoma are pretty curable, right? I don't know why I said that. Yeah, I probably Googled it and was like, something encouraging to say. And I said, well, you okay, man? And you replied, yeah, I'm okay. More pissed off with the parking fine. $100 for parking in the loading, unloading lot below, and then some curse words.
See, parking I can control.
Yeah.
Cancer I cannot.
The temperature is now higher than the last.
I think baking and cooking is one of the ways that I show people that I love, that I care for them. So I think food is one of my love languages. So I think that's something that both Mom and I have in common.
So even how busy I am, I always make sure I take time out to bake for them, doctors
And the nurses.
because like we said, making food is my blessing for all their love and the care that they have shown Hwee during these 4 years of treatment, right? The doctors are amazing. When Hwee was first diagnosed, sort of start of COVID, it was quite a shock for me because Hwee was only just turned 30 years old, and we're very thankful every year that we can celebrate Chinese New Year with Hwee. We have to go on living as normal as we can in spite of her diagnosis. The future, not many of us can foretell the future. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's good. We always tell Hwee that it's okay to cry. It's okay to get emotional. It's fine. I do that. I try not to do it in front of her. Yeah.
My 3 aspirations for 2025, I think first, in terms of health, hopefully to have a bit of a chemo break. Second would be to enjoy different parts of the world. I think that's something that also, in a way, keeps me going. If I go for treatment and I'm well enough, then I can travel. Third one would be to have an uneventful year in the sense of no surgeries, no surprising news in terms of, my PET scans. Today I'm packing these Chinese New Year goodies. We're going to give them to my oncologist and the nurses because we just want to show appreciation for everything that they've done for me in the last couple of years. Hello. Hi. My mom made some goodies for you guys. Thanks. This is what I call like my chemo uniform. And the reason why would be because if you can see here, I have what you call a portacath. And this is actually how the chemo gets administered into our body. It's a lot less painful, I feel, compared to doing it via the veins. Since I was first diagnosed in 2020, I have done maybe 5 to 6 different chemo regimes all in, and each one could be anywhere from, say, 8 to 10, 12 sessions. So yeah, I think all in about 60 over sessions in the last 4-ish years. So I do PET scans every quarter, and these scans are kind of an indication as to how effective the treatment I'm on is. So whether it's chemotherapy, radiotherapy, immunotherapy, it helps us whether we should continue with the current course of treatment.
I got my diagnosis here in SGH Block 7. The doctor told me I had follicular lymphoma, and this would be stage 4, and I would have to start treatment almost immediately. The doctor told me that I had to start chemotherapy. It would be 6 rounds. Each round would be 4 weeks, and I would have to finish it unless there were severe complications on how I reacted to the chemotherapy. In such a case, I would probably have to change the drug and start over. I was actually really angry. I was like, why now? Like, I worked so hard, and suddenly like, oh, that's after all this stress in the job, all I get is like cancer. So the first procedure is to ward the patient to make sure that you're not allergic to any of the drugs. They gave me the rituximab drug, and then I just started itching everywhere. I could feel it when I looked, skin was all red, there was huge hives. It would start from like my back and start progressing all the way down the body. So I was quite allergic to it. So for the remainder of my chemo rounds, I was warded in case of further complications or side effects with the drugs. First 3 months, I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything because I would feel terrible. It'd be like a really bad hangover. I was a freelancer. If you don't shoot, you don't get money. So in the 6-month period, my income dropped to nearly 0. When I was in the ward, I was usually the youngest. I think I was a bit annoyed because I didn't think I was old enough to get this. Hospital's a bit like prison. You're always like, hey, what are you here in for? At the moment I say cancer, they're like, oh, so young. At the time, I was with my girlfriend for 3 years. She had just gotten her dream job in Europe, and I was supposed to follow her. And I couldn't. I told her, you are not staying here in Singapore with me. You have your dream job. You need to go. And so she left around my 3rd or 4th chemo round. Shortly after my breakup, the nurse just like, oh, do you have a girlfriend? I'm like, no, not anymore. It was quite recent, in fact. She's like, oh yeah, it's normal. All you young chemo patients. So it was quite lonely.
We've actually known each other even way back when I was 16, and we reconnected 12 years ago in Bangkok actually. I was celebrating my 30th then. Oh, so now you all know my age.
We were partying too much and then we missed our flight.
And then they crashed my birthday and my party after, so that's how we reconnected. And then it was very gradual and we started eventually going out. Eugene is the kind of person that likes to think a lot about things and analyze things, and so we had a lot of conversations about marketing stuff, I guess intelligent conversations.
You always told me I was very handsome.
That's not true, but okay. So besides living together, we work together and then we run together. I mean, he runs a lot faster, so we don't technically run together, but we go for runs together with our communities. He's always been into fitness. I think it's a very key and important aspect of life for him. I started running because I wanted him to look at me and not other girls running, and couldn't even do 10 minutes when I first started. Really struggled, but yeah, it's been 12 years now. So when we found out, at that point in time, I don't really think that I completely process how I felt about it. The doctor said he has to do the biopsy. When the doctors confirmed that it's stage 4 cancer, that kind of like was really hard. Because I mean, it hit me like right then, and then I wasn't with him, I was with my friends, and then I just wanted to rush back to the hospital to see him.
Good morning, Eugene. So we have some of your test results back. Unfortunately, the main thing that we realized is the fact that the cancer is not suitable for operation. On your scan, we saw that there is cancer spread to the lymph nodes outside of your kidney and further away into your lungs and other parts. Now, the current focus is to give you drugs to shrink what we see on the scan and reduce your discomfort in your left loin and the bleeding from the kidney. Eugene has the uncommon type of kidney cancer called urothelial carcinoma. Historically, we have used chemotherapy with reasonable results. However, in October 2023, we have new data of immunotherapy combined with antibody drug conjugate, in other words, ADC. However, in the current context of cancer drug list rolled out since 2 years ago, the combination used as an upfront treatment before chemotherapy has been used is not funded.
Obviously, for me, the main priority is to get the best treatment. Then, to me, it's not even a discussion of finances because we will find the money no matter what.
Hi, so I'm at the hospital. I'm gonna be headed in for 2 scopes today. So first of all, I've got a stoma, and on the stoma there is a new nodule that has appeared. So we just want to be careful and extra safe to check that this nodule isn't cancerous. Hopefully it's not.
There's still a likelihood of relapse. There's still a lot of uncertainty. How long is my lifespan going to be? If I relapse, what happens?